안녕하세요. 인터뷰 선물 양영은입니다. 여러분 하버드 로스쿨의 석지영 교수 잘 아시죠? 아시아계 여성으로서는 최초로 종신 교수에 임명되면서 국내에도 널리 알려지게 됐는데요. 지성과 미모를 겸비한 대표적 엄친딸로 알려진 석 교수에게도 실패가 있었을까요? 또 그랬다면 그 실패는 어떻게 극복했을까요? 혼의정 재단에서 수여하는 혁신상을 받으러 잠시 국내에 들어온 석 교수를 만나서 솔직한 이야기 들어봤습니다.
You don't deserve this. Because yeah, she said, you don't deserve this.
교수님이 하시는 일이랑 혁신은 어떻게 연결이 될 수 있어요?
That's often the moment where innovation occurs.
교수님도 실패라는 거를 겪어보셨어요? 있어요?
Of course. You can't do that if you don't take risks. Go into it anyway. You go for it.
와, 이게 너무 멋져요. 너무 멋져요. 교수님 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
네, 뵈러 오는 동안에 많이 설렜고요. 그리고 의미 있는 상을 받으셨다고 들었는데 혁신상? 네, 정말 진심으로 축하드립니다.
Thank you. 감사합니다.
그 혁신상이라는 거 의미가 굉장히 남다를 것 같은데.
Well, when I first heard the news, I heard it through my mother because my mother had received the email also, and she called me to tell me what it meant. And I was very surprised. She was very surprised. And she said, you know, you don't deserve this. Because yeah, she said, you don't deserve this, but this is what they're saying, that they're giving you this innovation award. And she said, you know, there are all those other people who received it before you are really, you know, really innovative. And so I thought, wow, it's really a great honor. It's really a wonderful thing, mainly because I feel, not just because it's a prize and it's an award and they're saying, oh, good job, but because it's an indication and a step in my continuing connection with Korean society. That I feel that it's one of the most fortunate things in my life that I live now as an adult immigrant from Korea in the United States, that I have these opportunities that Koreans have given me to connect with this country where I was born and to receive this kind of recognition. It's extremely meaningful to me because it's another way that I can feel like the concerns, the continuing concerns of Korean society are central to my aspirations.
어떻게 해서 지금 여기까지 오셨다고 생각하시는지?
I think that I was very lucky because I grew up in a family where different kinds of pursuits were encouraged, that it was not a family where people thought that there's only one right way and that you have to pick something early and stick with it. I think that my family encouraged the children always to try to explore different things, and that's the reason that I think I did in fact go deeply into various different disciplines and pursuits. In my view, innovation comes out of taking different things and comparing them, making them clash, understanding the tension between them and the difference. I think that innovation doesn't come from just simply sticking to one thing and continuing to do it the same way that it's been done before. And if you look across at the different disciplines and see the different ways of knowing the world, the different ways that human beings have of understanding human experience, that kind of recognition of difference, it's in between that encounter that innovation comes. Like to take one idea from one place and to take another idea from another place and to combine it in a way that other people haven't thought of before. That's often the moment where innovation occurs.
법이라는 거는 혁신하고는 조금 거리가 먼 것처럼 느껴지기도 해요. 왜냐하면 법은 살아서 움직이거나 열심히 변하거나 그런 게 아니잖아요. 근데 교수님이 하시는 일이랑 혁신은 어떻게 연결이 될 수 있어요?
I think that you're right that the difference between innovation and law is often the most salient one, in that you don't think about law as innovative. The point of law, it seems, a lot of people would say, that law has to be stable. It has to not change. We have to be able to rely on it. It has to be traditional because it's about following precedent and following what came before. That's what makes it law. So that because if it changed all the time, that wouldn't be law. That would be something else altogether. And so there's something a little bit contradictory about thinking about innovation in the context of law. At the same time, what it means to be a good lawyer, to train people to be good lawyers, to be an educator in the legal field, is to train people not just to be followers of what came before, even though they do have to know how to apply the techniques and the reasoning that we recognize, that our community recognizes, that our society recognizes as legal techniques. At the same time, they have to learn how to think about problems that haven't arisen yet, that we don't even know the contours of. They have to understand ways of thinking that will enable them to encounter very new social problems, because society is always changing, and therefore law is always adapting to that change.
그러면 교수님은 실제로 학생들을 가르치실 때 어떤 혁신적인 방식을 쓰고 계시나요? 하버드에서.
I think my aspiration as a teacher is to make traditional methods of teaching come alive and seem new all the time. Right? To make it apply in the present context, and for students who come, for example, into my classroom, to be given the opportunity to experience the legal reasoning and method of thinking that has been experienced in those classrooms by generations of past members of our profession, while at the same time feeling that the way that these ways of thinking apply to contemporary society are extremely fresh and totally alive. And I think that that's a kind of innovation too, to be able to take the new and the old and to be able to merge them and to make the old new again and to make new problems understandable in light of what has come before. This was a class that I created for the first time with Damien Wetzel. It's the first time that this course has ever been taught at Harvard Law School, and there is no other course like this.
교수님께서 몸담고 계신 하버드라는 학교가 굉장히 그런 이노베이션을 강조한다고 들었는데, 사실 이노베이션이 모든 게 다 성공하는 건 아니잖아요. 많은 이노베이션이 노력은 하지만 실패로 되는 경우도 많고, 그래서 사람들이 그 리스크가 두렵다라고 느끼는 경우도 많은데.
Yes, I think that the place where I teach Harvard Law School and Harvard University is all about encouraging people to take risks and to risk failure, because that is the only way that you can actually be ambitious to do something new. And that is what the university ultimately is about. That's what it's for. Not just Harvard, but the university in general is about knowledge and the production of new knowledge. And that's what essentially what innovation is. And you can't do that if you don't take risks. And so if you have a bunch of people who are going into an educational field and what they're afraid of is failure, that is really a recipe for a non-innovative practice. It really has to be that you take fear and you go into it anyway. You go for it.
그래도 두렵잖아요, 여전히. 그 두려움은 어떻게 극복할 수 있어요?
But everyone has failed. Everyone has failed in some way in their life. And that experience is valuable. You can't do anything good unless you have failed before. I just do not believe that failure is something that can be avoided systematically. You have to keep doing things that have the risk of failure in order to have moments where things really come together and something really creative and good happens.
교수님께서 그런 두려운 순간에 혹시 이렇게 생각하는 또는 떠올리는 그런 두려움을 극복하기 위한 개인적인 비법이랄까? 그런 게 있을까요?
What I think of when I feel afraid is the idea of standing on the edge of a cliff and looking down at the edge of a cliff. Like if I step into the cliff, then you can fall inside, right? That's what failure, that you feel that fear, right? I think about stepping off the cliff and being able to fly, right? That's what I think about. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you just have to take a fall. But other times, you flap your wings and it works.
와, 되게 너무 멋져요. 너무 멋져요. 그렇구나. 교수님도 실패라는 거를 겪어보셨어요? 있어요?
Of course.
너무 성공.
Of course. How could anyone not have an experience of failure? And yes, failure is part of human life. And so you have to face it, and you have to just fall and get up again. And failure, there's failure on a big scale, there's failure on a small scale. We all experience them. And so I think that it's a very, very important question. But I think the fear that somehow you're going to be a failure is really paralyzing. And that's what I want to avoid. The fear somehow that one is going to be a failure, one's going to be seen as a failure. I think that's really the worst.
그러면 failure 때문에 넘어지고 다시 일어날 때 그때도 날개를 쓰세요.
Right.
그때는 날개 어떻게 일어나세요?
How do you get up if you fail? You just tell yourself, what's going to happen because I failed? Is the world going to end? Am I going to disappear? Am I going to die? No, that's not going to happen. Life still goes on, the sun still comes up, and another day begins.
책도 내셨잖아요. 제일 전하고 싶었던 메시지가 뭐였고 왜 이 책을 쓰시게 됐는지 얘기해 주세요.
I think that I wanted to write this book because I was always asked many questions from Korean students and from Korean young people and sometimes their parents. I think that those questions really were good in that they forced me to really reflect on my life, how I got here, and what I consider to be important. And that is why I decided to write the book, because I felt that I had something to say from that process of reflection and engagement with Korean people. So, and when I decided to write it, there were two different ideas. One was about looking outward and looking forward. And the other one was about introspection and the importance of inner reflection, right? The thinking about who one is and having strength inside. And so that's why I have the two different titles. And the English title is A Light Inside, and the Korean title is 내가 내가 보고 싶었던 세계. And so I think that they kind of go together because it is about having that light inside in order to be able to look out at the world. You can't really engage with the world, I think, in a way that is adequate, satisfying, fulfilling, without at first having something inside that drives you, that illuminates your pursuits, that gives meaning to what it is you're doing.
그 light inside는 어떻게 찾아요? 내면의 빛은?
I think that you find it by pursuing the things that excite you, that make you feel joy, that make you feel like you just can't wait to go and do that thing. Right? So when I look at young children, and young children, they don't know that you're looking at them, and you can see the excitement that they have at a new experience. And that's the kind of childhood feeling that I want to keep cultivating even as we grow older. Right? And that is what a light inside is. Young children just have it naturally. You know, they're born with it, and as you see them grow up, you see them encounter new things, new objects, and they're so delighted. They have delight, they have joy, they have pain, they cry, they express, they just feel. And I think that as we grow older, those things get blunted. That's part of the socialization process, which is okay. But to keep that joy inside and the fascination and the feeling of wonder, that's what I think is
되게
important.
많은 사람들이 교수님께서 자녀 교육을 어떻게 하시는지 알고 싶어해요. 어떤 철학을 가지고 어떻게 아이를 키우시는지.
As you know, I have a very demanding job that requires a lot of my time. So for one thing, I am not a stay-at-home mother. I actually spend a lot of my time away from my children because I work. And my children, they go to school, they come home from school, they have a lot of interests that they pursue. They read, they love to read. I read with them, either aloud or we each read sitting on a sofa together, and they read their books and I read mine. And but the main thing is that I talk to them constantly, and they talk to me about their ideas and emotions, and I include them in my work. For example, I explain to them what I'm doing. They ask me, what are you working on these days? And I tell them. When I get home from this trip, I will tell them all about the experiences I've had here. So I think that the main component of my upbringing, of my raising of my children, has to do with verbal engagement with them.
그게 philosophy of raising your kids.
Just a constant conversation about what is going on in their mind, what is going on in the world, and what I'm thinking about, what they're thinking about, what they're feeling, what I'm feeling.
저희 프로그램 이름이 선물이라고 했잖아요.
Yes.
저희가 항상 여쭤보는 질문이 있는데 교수님께서 이제까지 인생을 살면서 받았던 선물, 그다음에 앞으로 남기고 갈 선물 또는 주고 싶은 선물 앞으로.
I think the best gift that I received is the gift my parents gave me of understanding that everything that they were doing for me was not so that I could repay them or feel bound to them or dutiful or burdened, but rather that I could receive a gift and feel that I could be freed by it. And so it's kind of the gift that I received was from my parents, the ability to see a gift as something that would allow me to be free. And that experience of freedom is the best gift that I have had. And the freedom to think, the freedom to play, the freedom to work. And that's what I want to be able to give to my children. But in terms of the legacy that I want to leave behind, first of all, I'm a teacher, so if I could give my students anything, it would be the ability, the willingness to take risks and to experience the joy of knowledge and learning, to experience work as fun and to find work that they love to do. That's the kind of thing that I want to encourage in my students. In terms of the legacy that one leaves behind when one dies, I don't really feel that that's something I really think about. I don't think about what's going to be my legacy, what am I going to leave behind when I'm not here anymore. I really think about the life that I want to live and the people that I want to interact with and how I want to interact with them while I'm here. And I don't think that much, maybe not at all, about, well, how am I going to be remembered? Because I think human life, you live it and then you're gone.
그래서 seize the day.
Yeah, I think seize the day to try to make meaning of your life.
시간 가는 게 너무 아까워요. 너무 좋은 얘기를 많이 해주셔서. 근데 또 이 다음에 더 많이 여쭤볼 수 있게끔 더 좋은 질문들 아껴놓도록 하고요. 금방 또 서울에서 뵐 수 있기를 다시 바랄게요. 오늘 시간 저희랑 함께 해주셔서 정말 고맙습니다.
감사합니다.
선생님 오늘 너무 감사합니다. 저희 선물 오실 수 있어서.